Media.pro. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple: to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So come on over into our world. I know you'll like it, because on today's show, I hope that you'll stay with us for the entire hour. We've got a great couple of guests for you, and Eric too, and we're going to talk about all of that. James Arthur Ray is with us. He is of The Secret. He's been on Oprah a couple of times. He's been on Larry King, and a bunch of other places. He's got a new book out. It's called Harmonic Wealth, and we're going to be talking to him and his lovely bride, Bersabeh, in just a second. But first, Eric, how are you today, sir?
Hey, good afternoon and happy Wednesday, Kevin. I'm doing well.
It is a happy Wednesday. I'm so pleased I get to talk to some really interesting people that are really working to make changes in the world in a positive way. So it's really cool. And
we got sunshine out our window as you do it.
We do? The sad thing is I started doing podcasts today at 1:00. You can pick those up at positivetalkradio.net. And so I've been sitting here, and I have a heavy screen so that I can't see outside and stuff. So I have no earthly idea. But is it nice?
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Well, good. What's the rest of the week look like?
Looks like it's more sunshine.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah. It's cooling off. Temperatures starting to get into the 30s, upper 30s, but still 30s. It's getting to that time of year, but got some nice afternoon sunshine ahead.
Well, that's really cool. I want to thank you for being here and thanking KKNW for hosting the show on Mondays at 3, Wednesdays at 4, Fridays at noon. And then we go skipping merrily along to Kixie at 3:00 in the afternoon on Friday. And we enjoy every moment of it. And thank you for letting us be here.
Of course.
Not that you have any choice. No, I'm kidding. So in any event, thank you, Eric. And it's great to be here. And I want to introduce our guest for the hour, James Arthur Ray and Bersabeh Ray. And they are incredible human beings. And they've been on the show before. And, Bersabeh, we've touched on it. We haven't talked a great deal about your experiences, and so I had to look it up a little bit, and because you were in Iran in the 80s, and the Iran-Iraq War happened between 1980 and 1988, and 500,000 people died in that conflict. And it's great to have you here with us today, because some of your fellow countrymen didn't get the chance to get here today.
Yes, that is very true. Yeah, that war went on till about the time. Actually, we probably left that same year. No, in 87 is when we escaped from the country.
Well, congratulations. I'm glad you did. And you and James have, by the way, it's been a month or so since we've talked. Have you guys spent any time away from each other yet?
No.
No, it hasn't happened.
We're both like magnets or boomerangs or something to each other. She tries to throw me away once in a while, and I come right back, and I try to throw her away, and she comes right back. No, we wouldn't throw each other away. That's a joke. But no, we haven't. And it's really interesting, Kevin, because if you would have known me, probably, well, back when The Secret was at its peak, I was not well known for longevity in relationships, and I was not real capable, frankly, of spending any large amount of time with another human being. And it's not that I don't love people. I do love people, and I'm also naturally very introverted, very
Mhm.
independent. And so I really thought that I was going to spend the rest of my days um, being single and just doing what I do. And I'm really grateful that that didn't turn out that way. But it took a very, very special person to teach this dog some new tricks.
Well, when you're traveling, what was it, 240 days a year?
About
Yeah.
250 actually.
Oh, jeez. 250, and you're in and out of a hotel room, and you're trying to make your flights, and then you've got these big conferences you're at. By the way, James was in The Secret, and if you haven't got the book or you haven't watched the movie, I highly recommend that you do it. There's some things with it that could be updated and changed, but it's a good foundation. But at one point, you had 1 million people that were following you around everywhere you were. You were people. I can only imagine what it was like going in the airport and with your luggage, and you're trying to get to a flight, and people are pointing at you, going, "Isn't that? Yeah, I think it. Yeah, let's go talk to him. Maybe he has wisdom for us." Like that happened a lot to you, didn't it?
It really did. And you know, fame, if you want to call that, is not as glamorous as a lot of people make it out to be.
Mm.
And that doesn't happen to me anymore, for a couple of reasons. Probably a long time has passed since The Secret was at its peak. Secondly, I had no gray hair in The Secret, and thirdly, I was a little bit more voluptuous, let's say. That I'm a lot leaner today than I was back in those days. So I'm not recognized very frequently, which is actually quite nice because it gets to a point. I may have quoted this previously, and I'm not a big fan, but I'm always looking at what people say based upon where they are. And Brad Pitt said, "Fame is a bitch," and
Yeah.
it's a fact. It's not what it's cracked up to be. And I think we've talked about this before, Kevin. So many people who achieve that point
Mhm.
end up saying, like Ricky Martin, all I want to do is be left alone. Well, okay, Ricky, who was the one that made you not be left alone?
Yeah.
Didn't you bring this on yourself? You attracted it to yourself. And so anyway, yeah, it's a very different world for me now.
And you would have to say, I would guess, that it's a much better world for you now.
Much better. It's very interesting, Kevin, because in 2009, I was at the peak of my career, and that's when everybody was clamoring to have me, the Today Show once a month for multiple months running, Good Morning America, go on and on and on. I was a celebrity judge, quote, at the Miss America contest, believe it or not, that year, and that was a horrific experience. That as a single guy, you think, oh, this is going to be great. No, it wasn't. It was horrid, but nonetheless, um, everyone was clamoring. New York Times best-selling book, Harmonic Wealth, and um, I can tell you, my business was generating over 10 million a year. I was taking 4 million a year personally out of that, which is healthy. And I can tell you, I'm much, much happier today than I was then. And, things are very different now. And one of the things that hardship and challenges teaches you is to go inside and to really evaluate what's valuable, what's purposeful, what's
Mhm.
important to you. And I'm grateful for the house on Mulholland Drive in Beverly Hills and all those things. I had all the accoutrements. And yet, do I miss them? No, not really, because I didn't have Bersabeh. I didn't have a great relationship. As I mentioned, I had a hard time even considering a relationship. My mom used to say to me, God rest her soul, don't you want to get into a relationship? And I said, no, Mom, I just want companionship, when I need it, and not have it when I don't. needed. And so that's kind of where I was, and I'm in a very different place today. So, um, the things that we value in our world are very secular, and they've kind of driven us to where we are right now in today's world. And I think I really believe from my own personal experience, and Bersabeh can talk too, because she's had a lot of material success in the past, and I think it's time for all of us to get back to center.
Hmm. I couldn't agree more. There is a I think contributing to society and contributing to the betterment of everyone is far more rewarding than having to worry about your bank account and those sorts of things. Because if you can, and I know this happens to you all the time today still with the work that you're doing, is that people will walk up to you and say, thank you, you're helping me change my own life. And that is, I can't think of a higher calling than doing that for and with somebody else.
You're absolutely correct, and
Sure.
I think you would agree. I mean, Bersabeh
Mhm.
works one on one with a lot of
Mhm.
different clients, and the greatest remuneration, if you will, that we both get is when one of them says, "Hey, you've helped me change my life," and that's, you can't put a dollar figure on that.
No.
But I, all the way back when I had, north of $20 million net worth and all the accoutrements, I was still talking about harmonic wealth. And that's, even then, I said that, first of all, the true meaning of wealth, you trace the etymology back to its origins, it's well being. 99% of the people, you ask them what wealth is, and they'll say it's something
Money.
about money. But what good is money if you don't enjoy it? If you don't have a fulfilling life? And I can't tell you how many countless people, Kevin, I've worked personally with, and as you mentioned, over 1 million people from 146 countries around the world. A lot of them very, very financially rich, and yet they still feel a sense of emptiness inside. It's not because of the money doesn't create the emptiness, but money doesn't create fullness either. Money is just a tool. And so harmonic wealth is a state of harmony and well-being in 5 key areas: financial, relational, mental, physical, and spiritual. And when all 5 of those, I call those the 5 pillars in my book, when all 5 of those are in harmony, not in balance,
Mm.
and if you want to flesh that one out, I'd love to. But we hear a lot of people talk about balance, and I can promise you, even those who teach balance are not balanced. They're not. Get over it. And so harmony is achievable. Balance really is not. And we can talk some more about that if you'd like. But those 5 pillars,
Mhm.
financial, relational, mental, physical, spiritual, is what I focused on. Even when I was at the peak of my financial wealth, I still focused on my health and my well-being there. I focused on my mental and emotional well-being, on my relational well-being with my family and with those that I worked with, and on my spiritual well-being. And if I had not had those other 4 when the finances went away, I would have been lost. And there are
Hmm.
countless people that find themselves in today's world in that position.
Mhm.
And so, I believe now more than ever that message is very appropriate for our world.
It is now. So let's go down that rabbit hole. Let's talk about balance. What
Let's
is
talk about
balance?
balance. All right, so let me give you a visual. You remember the old scales where there's a gold plate over here and attached to a chain, and there's a pivot point in the middle? Well, imagine that's here, and then here's the scale, and here's both your plates in perfect balance. Now, let me ask you, Kevin, what's happening?
They both weigh the same. I don't know.
Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening.
I wish I'd have
In
said that.
perfect balance. Please write this down. In fact, tattoo this on your mind. In perfect balance, nothing happens. And that's not achievable. I believe the whole concept of balance has created more angst
Mm.
and more frustration and even pathology, if you will, than many, many other concepts. Well-meaning people have attempted to bring about this concept of balance, but it's a misnomer because it's not achievable. In perfect balance, nothing happens. The universe is not like that. Quantum physics tells us that everything is comprised of energy. Everything, all the way
Right.
down to the quantum level, all the way up to the stratosphere and beyond. And that energy has to vibrate. It's constantly in motion. It's constantly moving. And so balance is not achievable. And what happens for many people is they think, okay, I'm spending 10 hours at work and I'm only spending 2 hours with my family. Wow, I'm out of balance. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You know, just because you spend 8 hours at work doesn't mean you have to spend 8 hours in the gym. Thank God, right? You know,
Yeah,
right?
that would not be good.
So what you do to be in harmony is dynamic, and I like to compare it to an orchestra. You know, the music ebbs and flows, and sometimes you're leading with the brass section, sometimes you're leading with the woodwinds, other times it's the drums, but they all come together to create this brilliant tapestry called the music or the concert. And so that's what life is. And what I submit to you is you can be in harmony by constantly paying attention to the five pillars, not equally. You know, let's face it, sometimes you have to sit down. Bersabeh and I have a pretty rigid schedule. We follow a schedule and a routine, and we talk to couples about doing that. We work with couples, and we talk to individuals about doing that, because if you get it, you know, if you schedule something, it gets done. Things that get scheduled get done. And so there are times like today where we have to adjust our schedule because we've got all these other things. And so here's the key, and I'll just to sum this up, and then we can go where you want to go. But what we have to do, for instance, if we have children, which we do not, we have a bunch of clients that act like children, but sometimes,
no.
but we don't have physical children. But nonetheless, if you have children, you sit down with your kids and you go, look, mom and dad are building a business. And for the next 90 days, we really have to hustle. We're going to have to hustle because we're moving in a new direction, or we're coming out of a dip, and we're going to really have to hustle. We're going to spend some more time, you know, in the business, working on the business than we normally do. So guess what? For the next 90 days, we're not going to be taking long weekend trips as a family. Now, we need your agreement on that, kids, and we need you to understand it. And by the way, if you can contribute, you know, then we all do this together. But we're not going to do this indefinitely, and this is key. We're not going to do that indefinitely, because that's the executive who does nothing but work and ends up having a heart attack. You do it finitely. So you set it. You say 90 days, we're going to really put energy and emphasis into our business, into our finances. But we don't neglect the gym. Now we may not spend as much time in the gym, but at least we do our walks. At least we do 30 minutes on the treadmill. At least we do some yoga. We do something for the body every single day. We may not meditate for 30 minutes every day because we're really hustling in the business, but we're going to meditate for at least 10 or 15 minutes. And I hopefully you get the point. So you never neglect any of the pillars. You just dynamically and harmonically move the energy and continue to flow the energy from this to that to this to that. And that's because if you neglect one of the pillars, imagine these are 5 spokes on a wheel and one of them breaks, like mine did financially, then the whole wheel collapses because it's completely dysfunctional. And so you have to keep all of those going to some degree, not equally all the time. Hopefully that makes sense.
And makes a world of sense to me, because there was a period in my life where in order for me to make more money, and I got paid significantly more to go on the road. Now, I didn't think about all the repercussions of what would happen when I went on the road and I had a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old and a wife who didn't really want me to go on the road but wanted the money. And so consequently, you
Cake
understand
and
what I'm
eat
saying?
it too, right?
Yeah, so the whole thing became out of balance. The kids were not happy. The wife was not happy. I wasn't happy because I wasn't home, and then I had to go away. And so we didn't plan it for and understand that making a life change like that can throw everything out of harmony. And so you have to regain the harmony back and figure out how you're going to make that work. Am I right in that?
You're absolutely correct. Talk about um, when we had, was it 3 years ago? We had a big corporate client. We do corporate consulting work. We help people diagnose their culture, which drives behavior and changes and drives results. And we help them diagnose it so that we can help them change it, change behavior, change results. And we had a big client about 3 years ago, and we really got out of whack.
Yeah. We didn't sit down and discuss what it would do to us in our relationship time together. And it ended up being mostly all work, and I was getting absorbed in it. And because he's had the experience, like, he kept poking me. He's like, "Hey, you can't do this. It's just going down the wrong path." And I'm like, "No, I gotta work. I gotta get this done." And
Darn,
so
darn Capricorns, you can't tell them a thing. But anyway, go ahead.
yeah, but finally, it got to a point. I said, "You're right. We need to reset." And we ended up actually telling the client that we're going to divorce you.
Yeah, we walked away from the client
Yeah.
because it literally, Kevin, got to a point, and we've been there, guys.
Mhm.
As a viewer, listener, we've been through it all in the last 11 years, and the highs and the lows,
Yeah.
and a lot of lows, and it got to a point, literally, full transparency, where we were wondering if we were going to make it.
Well, right, and the money just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it. We were making
Yeah.
great money,
Mhm.
but that's where I say, what good is a lot of money
Yeah.
if you can't enjoy it and you're not fulfilled? Because um, here's something that I would really hope you as a viewer, would sink in to today. Your true wealth is not what you have.
Mhm.
Your true wealth is what you're left with when all you have is gone. That's your true wealth. Who are you? And I'm speaking from experience. Who are you when everything you believed about yourself, about your country, about your legal system, about your government, about your world, about your rights is gone? Who are you? Where do you go when everything you've lived your life for and put your energy into
Mhm.
is totally and completely gone? Well, the answer to that question is profound, because I've been in that place just 10 years ago, and I had to dig deep, and those lessons impacted me in such a profound manner that I they probably have changed the projectile of my life for the rest of my days, literally. So, again, it's time. I believe all of us in our world, not just our country, certainly our country, but in our households, in our communities, in our world, step back and say, "Whoa, let's take an inventory here of what's really important." And we've chased the mighty dollar for a long
Mhm.
time, to the point that it's literally become our god.
Oh
And you say, well, how's it become our god? Well, whatever you think the most about it and worry the most about and focus the most upon is what you worship.
Yeah.
You look at the definition of worship, and it's extreme adoration and extreme attention. And so what do we worship in today's world? Celebrities, money,
Mhm.
materialism. And so therefore it's become our God. And maybe I'll say this again, and this maybe it makes more sense of what I'm alluding to. Maybe it's time for us to get back to center,
yeah.
to come back to the heart and to what's really, really important.
By the way, we're talking with James Arthur Ray and Bersabeh Ray, and you can go to harmonicwealthglobal.com and you can find out all the information about them. Stay with us because we're going to have they've got a giveaway for us that we're going to announce a little bit later in the show. But I just wanted to say before we go to break that if when you think in terms of people who have quote unquote had it all and then suddenly had absolutely nothing or even less than nothing, because I think your freedom is important to have. And so when you have nothing and you went from a bank account of $20 million to nothing, a following of 1 million to nothing, I can't think of anybody. And I applaud you for doing what you're continuing to do because you came out the other side and you are a better man today. And I think Bersabeh would agree with that. You're it really is my honor and pleasure to have you both on the show.
Thank you.
Because it's amazing and you have the experience that there's nobody that I've met that can top your experience, so you should listen to them because they know what they're talking about. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio on KKNW 1150 AM. We'll be right back after these messages.
Do you need to boost your sales? Join our partnership program. Each quarter, we promote 10 partner businesses. What will you get? The company will produce one 30-second video for your business. Your website links on positivetalkradio.net and kmmedia.pro. One dedicated podcast or radio show per month. One video Instagram reel. One YouTube short. One 60-second clip for social media taken from your interview, and at least one commercial airplay per show. All podcast and video commercials are within the fabric of the show and will remain in the show forever. Visit kmmedia.pro to book a consultation today.
When you want to say more than words communicate, you can with flowers. Your custom boutique floral studio in Bothell, Washington is anaturaldesign.com, connecting you to nature through the language of flowers. Where your people are is where our flowers are beautiful. Your success is our goal.
For being our appreciated listener, you can use promo code PTR20 at checkout to receive 20% off your order.
anaturaldesign.com at your fingertips today.
We believe in the power of telling your stories. We want to help yours be seen and heard. At the Pacific Northwest Collaborative Magazine, our purpose is to connect you to your community. Let's begin by celebrating the accomplishments of local artists featured in this brand new digital magazine. Here, you can learn about opportunities to creatively come together and support our local community and neighbors through the gift of art and service. If your business or organization would like to take part in this magazine, message us on Instagram at pnw.collab. You can download our free digital magazine at KM Media Pro today.
Thank you to our dedicated fans. We are updating our live on-air schedule to make it super easy for you to hang out with us 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We broadcast on YouTube, Facebook, and live on Fridays with Kixie 8:80 a.m. Seattle Live. You can find our library to binge all the podcast platforms. We can't wait to see you at 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, starting September 4th, Labor Day 2023.
And welcome back, everybody, to Positive Talk Radio. My name is Kevin McDonald, and we got a great show for you today. And James Arthur Ray is here, and Bersabeh Ray is here. And I'm so proud of myself that I can actually say your name, Bersabeh.
I know. I am too.
He's proud of you too. It's a rare host that can say her name correctly.
Yes.
So you're in a special category, Kevin.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming here because you have so much that you through your life experience and through what you've been through and through everything from being, last time we talked that you were at a conference, and things went a little long, and you were supposed to be on Oprah Winfrey, and you said, I'm not going to catch my jet. I missed it. And they said, well, I'll send you my plane. It's like it's like, really? That's pretty cool. And you've been all the way to there to being homeless, basically.
Homeless. Mm-hmm.
That-
Yes.
that- and congratulations on finding your own harmony in your own life, which has now been proven that your book is successful because you've done it on a personal level.
Mm,
Well, yes. And
very true.
I think the book, when I wrote the book, I really wanted it to be a blueprint. It's not just a book. It's very, believe it or not, there's a lot of exercises and contemplations in there because I'm very big about application
Mm,
versus just theory. And there used to be, before the tsunami hit my life and my business, there was an entire website devoted just to the book, and people still sometimes get the book and reach out to the office and go, hey, where's the website? Well, it got hacked, and the URL got
it's been held
pirated,
ransom.
held ransom, and so yeah, we got a lot of great stories, but nonetheless, the exercises we put great in quotes, but the exercises are in the book, and I'm really continuously passionate about practical application because the only true knowledge, whoever said knowledge is power was wrong. And if I can be so bold, it's incorrect, and I don't know who it was. But knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. The only true power is applied knowledge. And so a lot of people, and maybe you know these folks, Kevin, they're really good at book reports, or they're really good at theory, or they've studied, and I can't tell you how many people come to our events and they've been to every other event in the industry that you can even imagine. And then they come to us and they go, I had to work. I had to do something. Yeah, well, yes, you've got to do something. Life is magical, but there's no magic. Okay, the magic is in the method. So anyway, it's God and life have given both of us when Bersabeh met me, I was $20 million in debt and homeless, and I was not a real attractive prospect. We were, maybe you can ask her why she even considered it, but we were on a podcast once with a woman, a female host who deals with females, and she said, I tell the women I work with all the time, don't go for the guy who
has potential.
Who has potential, who doesn't have a job and who is sleeping on mama's couch. Well, that was me. And she said, so why did you do this? And Bersabeh had a good answer. Maybe she can share it.
What was that answer?
Well, the answer was he did have potential. No, he wasn't the type that was gonna lay around on his mom's couch. He was on a mission, and it was that attracted me to him to begin with, was because the first time I saw him speak on stage, it moved me, and I connected with him because he was speaking truth and he was raw and real. I've never seen that within the industry, especially within the industry. So, and he's the type of person that walks his talk. And I thought, given what had happened, I felt like it was a raw, he was dealt the wrong cards. It was messed up, and it wasn't just. It was an accident, and I thought, I'm gonna do what I can because I believe in his message. More than anything else, I would say.
Yeah, I don't know if we told you. She saw me speak live. And then she reached out to me on Facebook. I like to say she stalked me on Facebook.
Yeah,
She doesn't
no.
like that, but
You wish.
yeah, I wish. But I'm here,
I
so
know. So there you go.
so that's
I
all that
won.
matters. But nonetheless, she said, "I want to come to work for you."
Mhm.
Well, I was answering Facebook messages from mom's kitchen table, because I was homeless and $20 million in debt.
Oh.
And so I said, okay, well, what do you do? And she said, well, I'm a graphic designer and I can help you with your social media. And at the time, my social media needed some serious help. It really did. And so I said, okay, let's meet for lunch. So we met for lunch and she brought her portfolio. She's a brilliant artist. She really is. She's a Renaissance woman. She can do about anything and do it great, from bench presses and deadlifts to graphic design, to animation, I mean, literally, she's a Renaissance woman, to brilliant paintings we have hanging in our home. But nonetheless, I said, well, here's the reality. You heard my story from stage and I can't pay you. She said, that's okay. Have we told you this story before, Kevin?
I don't think so, but it bears repeating.
Yeah. She said, that's okay. She said, I have a full-time job. I went, hmm. And she said, I'll continue with my full-time job and I'll work for you on the edges of the day. Now, one of the reasons why she knew I was not the guy to just stay on mom's couch for a long time is because I get up every single day and still do and have for as long as I can remember at 3 a.m. I get up at 3 a.m. clockwork every day, including today. So right now I've been going for about 15 hours. And that probably sent a signal to her when I told her what time I got up and got after it. She was like, okay, this guy is different. But nonetheless, she started getting up around 4 o'clock and working from 4 till 6:30ish for me, free, no pay. And then she'd get ready for work and she'd go to work and work all day, 8 hours in a dental office. She'd get home about 6:30, grab a quick bite, get after it and work till midnight for me every single day. For 3 years, she
Those
did
were
that.
rough days.
Yeah, long
No
day.
kidding.
For 3 years with no pay.
Yeah.
I saw a video on Twitter today of a young lady in the early generations
Oh my goodness.
who it was just if it wasn't so sad, it'd be comical. She was moaning, "Oh, this is my first job since I got out of college. I can't believe I have to be in the same place from 9 to 5, and it takes me forever to drive to work. I can't work from home." And I mean, all she's doing is complaining.
It's only
Well,
an hour commute.
it's an hour commute, and I don't have time to work out anymore, and I don't have enough.
Can't do anything
Can't do
anymore.
anything. And I
Like,
thought,
what
wow.
world are you living
Let me
in?
introduce you to my wife, okay, who worked.
Or
who-
other people,
Others too,
Wow.
sure. But she worked 8 hours a day, and then she had Fridays off in her full-time job, so she'd work all day, full day on Friday, Saturday, Sunday for me.
Mhm.
No pay for 3 years. And by the way, to make it even bigger, we weren't a couple.
Oh no.
For the first 3 years, we were not a couple. We were friends, and she worked for me. And now we're married and I work for her,
Okay.
how that
This guy.
somehow the polarity shifted. And if you're married and you're listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, after 3 years, we had built it up with her help to a point where I could say, all right, you can leave your job and you'll get paid a salary. And so very commendable. And I think a lot of it, when you go through difficulties and challenges make you, they literally do. We grow the most on the border of chaos and order. There's a chemist who won the Nobel Prize, Ilya Prigozhin. Say that fast 3 times. Ilya Prigozhin won the Nobel Prize for finding basically that we grow the most on the border of chaos and order. We don't grow the most when we're way into order. We're smelling the roses and sipping the fine wine. we grow the most, we're on the border of chaos and order. And that's what makes us better people. And so don't wish for an easier life. That's illusion. It really is. Wish for greater capacity and capability to get through the challenges life brings. Because when you wish for greater capacity and capability, then the challenges that once were enormous are no longer enormous because you have greater capacity and capability. And because of escaping from war-torn Iran and across the desert in the dead of night at the risk of being killed, literally, and that whole upbringing in Pakistan and all the difficulties that she had to confront as a child,
Yeah.
not knowing a language and coming to Arizona of all places,
Not my
that
favorite.
that gave her a backbone of steel, and that made her who she is today.
Well, I'll tell you, and I first of all, I applaud you for getting up at 3:00 in the morning. I also get up at 3:00 in the morning, but that generally lasts about 10 minutes. And then
That's called a nature call, probably. But
it's more than yes, and then it's back to bed, but in any event, but I applaud you for doing that. And by the way, if you ever get tired of him, you can come work for me. I can't pay either, but no, I'm kidding.
All right, we got to go.
Yeah, isn't it true, James, that when you are passionate about what it is that you are doing, and isn't that kind of a key that if you're passionate about what you do, it's not like work. It's like this is what you do, and you're excited about doing it, and you're laughing.
Yeah, because Bersabeh looked at me. She knows what's coming. Should I tell him?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You might as well. Can bring it up, and then should I?
I'm a student of language. I really am. I told you the etymology of the word wealth. I'm constantly studying language. And if you trace the etymology of the word passion, it comes from the Latin meaning to suffer. So everybody, yeah, I mean, wasn't
there is a lot of suffering.
Come on, there was a movie called The Passion of the Christ by Mel Gibson. That's the suffering. And so all these people in personal development are going, follow your passion, what they're really saying is follow your suffering, suffer. And the reality is that you do suffer. There's salvation in suffering. There really is. You will suffer for your passion, if you will. You will suffer for your intentions and your dreams until you suffer no more. And if you're not willing to pay the price, then you will suffer the loss of your dreams and visions. If you follow that, if you're not willing to pay the price, to suffer, to do the hard things, the difficult things, the challenging things, to push up against the doorway of fear, all those kinds of things that are so imperative and was not covered in The Secret, as you said, it could be updated. And these are the kind of things, they interviewed me for 3 hours for The Secret, and these are the kind of things I was talking about that ended up on the cutting room floor because it didn't fit in with the producer's message. And I understand that. And yet, we always suffer. You either have some kind of suffering for your dreams and visions, or you suffer the loss of your dreams and visions.
Can you explain to me what when you say suffer, what do you mean?
Well, yeah, this is good. So, I think suffering. Let me lay this out. Suffering is self-created. Pain cannot be avoided. Suffering is a choice. It's self-created. And how we create suffering is by resisting or trying to run from or avoid pain. So, simple example. No one ever died from a snake bite. Nobody. snake bites, bang, hurts, ouch, pain. What they die from is the venom that is not taken out quickly enough. Now, if you can follow that metaphor, then what happens is it's like this young lady, God bless her, that I saw on Twitter. It was a share from TikTok on Twitter, and she was crying, literally bemoaning that she had to work from 9 to 5, and she's suffering, she's sobbing, and it's just like, child, child, you have so much to learn about life. Because how many people in today's world don't even have a job, and yet you're resisting the job that you have. Yes, maybe it's painful sitting in traffic for an hour. That's why we moved out of LA. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, I was going to ask you, is suffering then a self-fulfilling prophecy that you create within yourself?
Yes, it's self-inflicted. It is a resistance to what is. And so here we are on Positive Talk Radio. Let me tell you my definition, and you can tell me your reaction to it. My definition of positive thinking is not always thinking the best. That's not positive thinking. That's illusion. Because, the Buddha told us that he didn't teach his students to pray because his students weren't awake enough to know what to pray for. Always thinking the best, quote best. Well, best according to what and according to whom? How many times have you gotten the so-called best and it turned out to be the worst? Bersabeh and I both landed our dream mate in a previous marriage, and it turned out to be the nightmare mate. And so what is the best? True positive thinking is not thinking or expecting the best. It is accepting, keyword, accepting that what is happening is the best. Now that's easier said than done. But we look at our world right now, and some people will go, man, things are going to hell. They're falling apart. It's chaotic. Okay, well, I look at the world and say, no, we're going through a birthing process. And if you go into a room, a surgery room, in the middle of surgery, it looks like a murder is occurring. There's blood everywhere, right? But all of a sudden, someone emerges with a new heart or a new lung or whatever it is. It's really messy before it's magnificent. And so that's how I view what's going on in the world right now. I'm accepting that what is happening is the best, not expecting the best, because I don't really know what the best is for me. And I've proven this time and again, and I would challenge you as a viewer to think about how many times you thought something was the best for you and you got it, and then it really wasn't. It was the worst. You're like, oh my God, I don't want this anymore.
Happens all the time for a lot of us. And just to be clear, my version of Positive Talk Radio is that given the fact that it can be messy, we are working to be the best that we can be given the circumstances, and to not take no for an answer or to quit. We're going to continue to work to be the best person that we can, the best self that we can. Do we make it all the time? Hell no. Nobody does. But at the same time, if you have that mindset, when things are upsetting, you can get through them because they don't matter. It's just a thing that you're going through, and you'll get better. And that for me is positivity. Does that make sense at all?
It makes total sense. I like that. And going back to your passion, that if you're passionate about something that spun us into all of this, I would say, if and when you find your purpose, your meaning, something that's meaningful for you, then you're not always going to love doing what it takes to get it done. I do a lot of things. Today was a great day. A great example. I did a lot of things today that I don't really enjoy doing. but I have a purpose, and I know that if I can constantly connect mentally, emotionally to how this is fitting into me achieving that grander purpose, then it feels different for me, and it's not, in your terms, so much work. It is work, but it doesn't feel as much like work.
You have, by the way, sir, I would like to thank you very much. You've changed my vocabulary today. I'm no longer going to say follow your passion. I'm going to say live your purpose.
Oh,
There you go.
nice.
Well, you can thank the Greeks for that.
And by
Just
the way,
plagiarism.
we're running out of time, but you had something that you wanted to give our audience. Am I correct in that?
That is correct,
Yes.
and I'm going to let Bersabeh. I've
Oh.
done way too much talking, and she hasn't done enough, so I'll let her share that.
Well, we have a free gift for your audience, and we're going to give away the Harmonic Wealth movie. So we'll put up the link, or give you guys a link. Somebody will put it up for us.
I believe that if they go to
Harmonic Wealth Global.
Harmonic Wealth Global, they can find it from there. Yeah.
Yes. I can also. Yeah, it'll be harmonicwealthglobal.com. And it'll be it's a bit lengthy, so it's like /harmonic-wealth-
Yeah,
movie.
and let me tell you why you want this movie. It goes in concert with the whole concept that we talked about today, and it cost a small fortune to get this thing produced because we had it done really, really well. It's a full feature film, and we'd love to give you a copy of that and allow you to watch it. So why don't we can send you the link, Kevin,
Yes.
since Bersabeh says it's kind of long.
If you send us a link, and it's harmonicwealthglobal.com /harmonic dash wealth dash movie dash experience.
Yes.
But we'll have that, and we'll put that next to this so that in the future people can download that and get the movie. And thank you so much for that.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. The world needs more harmonic wealth. We all do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we do. So we've got just a couple of moments left. What's next for you guys? What you always have to, you've got a plan, I'm sure, to do something.
I'm working on a new book. I've written another book since Harmonic Wealth called The Business of Redemption, which is a memoir of my whole story of the rise and the fall, if you will, and the coming back up again. And I'm working on a new book there too. We're working on some other projects visually and auditorially, and so yes, we have so many things in the work, Kevin, that if we didn't get up at 3 a.m., there's no way we would even scratch the surface of getting them all done.
So you go to bed, I am sure so you're one of those that can survive on 5 hours of sleep, I guess is what I'm asking.
I used to. When I was on the road over 250 days a year, I survived for years on 4 hours. I don't recommend it. I really don't. It's not healthy, and there's research to back that up. But we get somewhere between 6 and 8, which tells you we kind of follow the sun, and we live, like our ancestors used to live. We don't stay up with a lot of artificial light, but yeah, it varies between 6 and 8 hours, which means we do go to bed early. We go to bed early because we start early, and in the mystery traditions, they call the time between 4 and 6 a.m. God's time. Now it's all God's time, but maybe they call it God's time because it's really quiet.
And nobody else is awake.
And nobody else wants to be awake.
Except for me for 15 minutes at 3:15. So in any event, we've got Bersabeh, we've got 1 minute left, and I'm going to give that minute to you to say anything that you would like.
Oh, wow. I get all minute to myself. I don't know what to do with myself right now. Well, I would like to thank you, Kevin, for having us on this show, and We hope that for your listeners out there that you were able to take away something from this conversation for yourself to apply to your life, so you can have a suffer-free life.
Or at least a less than suffer. Well, yeah, and again, you've taught me again. So now I'm going to say this to our audience and live your life with purpose. How
Yeah.
about that?
Mhm.
That's strong.
Yeah, live your life with purpose. It's nice.
And always know where you're going. And it's great to have you. I would love to have you back. So we'll see if you'll have us. We're you provide us with some really cool information.
Well, thank you, Kevin. It's
you.
always a pleasure to be here, and we really appreciate what you're doing and honor what you're doing. Keep doing the great work, because the world really needs it.
And at the end of 15-hour day, I want to thank you for being here, and I appreciate it. Go have something to eat and go to bed. You deserve it.
We are going to go and have some to eat.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to Positive Talk Radio today. We'll be back Friday at noon, and be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. We'll see you Friday at noon.